Yesterday, I was doing something in the kitchen and I turned on the recording that Habibot made of a talk I did when it was about the hawk. And the reason I bring it up is because I really, the encounter with that animal, it's not an encounter, but simply a part of my world and things that are, get my attention and, there's feeling attached to it and intellectual, like, what is this? It's important to me and to do that. And yet it occurred to me as I was um, thinking about that the hawk is gone. It's not there. Hasn't been there in a week or so, maybe longer. I'm not sure. She's just gone. And I remember when she was going, except I didn't realize that's what she was doing, but her voice was coming from a different area, and then it was silent. Um, and I thought it made me really see, how attached I was to that experience, to that animal, to that, what was happening in my life with just see her and hear her and remember things about her and just all the things that came to me about her. And I realized that I just hold on to that it's like it's gone, it's over. And I just saw myself as, holding on to this thing, I know right away because there's this other part of my mind that is seeing this. There's this other part of my mind over here that's saying, "Let it go, let it go. Don't indulge yourself in this." And so I, I I guess what is rather than letting it go, which I don't know if I have or not, I have started to turn my mind to paying attention to what is it that what happens? How does it become a clinging? I mean, obviously, if you like something very much, you want it to be happening. But it came to me in a different way when I was sitting on my balcony looking at, I was actually just in meditation, looking out into the trees and everything. And I was, aware of what was in front of me, just, where the trees are and everything like that. And I was looking at it, excuse me, and suddenly it's like it stepped back. And for a moment I had the looking into the trees here, and then the looking into the trees over there, just back a little ways, like as if the balcony, it has a railing, and on one side of it was my looking at it, and the other side was my seeing it back up, let go of it, but back up. I have no idea how to let go of these things. I mean, I know I'm supposed to. I don't want to shove things away. I understand that I understand that what I think about letting go is kind of I don't think it's such a great thing, I mean, this is one of the important teachings of the Buddha was, to not to indulge in this, not to hold on, because everything is changing and everything is moving. And the hawk knows perfectly well because she's gone, and wherever she's anywhere, there she is. And if she died, then she's not there anymore at all. And it makes me realize how quick the mind is, because I'm sitting there doing what I'm just my usual thing, not really feeling like I have to do anything in particular, just being aware of what's around me and everything. And And then there's this other thing that's saying, let it go. And, um, and to have those going on at the same time, it's like, oh, well, this is so wonderful, blah, 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 or this is so interesting, or this is so whatever. And then over here's this little one saying, let it go, or stop, or it's not like a verbal thing. It's just like over here, and I don't have control over it, but my mind apparently does, because it does this, and it gives me a kind of respect and fear of my own experience with the mind. I mean, there's like my mind that says everything you do is wonderful and you're a very good girl. And then there's the mind that's, more critical. And then there's this other mind, this other aspect of the mind, which is like my teacher. Whack, don't indulge in that. Don't think about that. Don't think you're so special or you're so wonderful, or don't be miserable. You have no reason to be miserable. It's totally nonverbal. I mean, this is my way of talking about it, because I don't know how to do it any other way. But I guess I would say it's more energetic. I feel a lot of respect for it and fear. Yeah, I have fear about it. It's more powerful than I am. And I think, did I sign up for this? And, I guess I did. Memories. Memories are also, they're a wonderful thing, but they also are holding on. You don't want to be without memories. You don't want to be, just something floating in the wind. But my memories are really, a lot of my memories are very vivid, and I go back to them because sometimes there's something in there that I want to know. And so then I think, well, I'm not supposed to hold on to these things, but it's very compelling to know what really happened. And one I go back to a lot, not that much of it, but it's a big one. It was when I was 7, and we were in the mountains of Alberta, my family. So there were 4 of us, my older brother, me, and my parents. And we were staying at a place that I discovered are called Dude Ranch. And it was an incredible experience for me. I loved to ride, and so we rode everywhere, and it was wonderful because there wasn't somebody telling me how to ride. I simply rode the horse, and she was a good horse, and I could keep up with everybody, and I could do what I wanted. And there was a river, and the Bow River, as a matter of fact, which is a big Canadian river. Only I didn't know that at the time. It was the river that was there. And we had all sorts of adventures that they would manufacture for us, going out into the mountains and camping out. And they always brought a cook. Her name was May. I remember her so very vividly. And I would, she would hold some, give you a cookie or something like that if you were tired or whatever. And one day we took a ride out into a part of the mountain that I hadn't been to. And it was a place where the pine trees and the sort of and this place, which was a large ranch, that had once been an actual ranch, was there. And then if you went in a certain direction, you were out in this very vast open area, like a prairie, except it's a high elevation, and you could see forever. And then there would be these mountains. And one day we were out there with our guide, and something unusual happened. Is that he suddenly came back around and he said, "Don't go any further. Stay on your horses. Don't do anything." And of course, I immediately wanted to find out what was happening. And there they were. They were about three American Indians on their horses, and they were having a dispute with the people who owned this ranch that we were on. And it was about horses, and they accused. I mean, I didn't understand any of the talking because I couldn't hear it very well. But they were accusing them of each other of stealing the other's horses. I mean, it was like being back in the 19th century, you know. And I was very concerned. But I remember I felt like the balance of power was not right, and that the men on their horses, they were dirty. I mean, I've since read about people's encounters with Indians like these or Native Americans like these, and they would always say that they looked dirty, and they were wearing the clothes that they probably had for days, and you don't have a laundromat when you live in that area and you are poor. You don't have any of those things. And they were very rough looking. They were, I mean, I was very surprised at the roughness and the sort of course, their facial expressions were so intense. And my horse wanted to go closer. And, I was supposed to hold her in, and I didn't for a minute. And the guy who was with us said, stop right now. And I looked up and at the men on the Native Americans. They were the Stony tribe. I didn't know that then. And they were very fierce and looking in my direction, and then realizing that I was just a child, and so they dismissed that. But I felt I wanted to reach out. I felt that they got a dirty deal. I didn't like the way that our people talked about them. And there's nothing I could do. I mean, it just sat there on my horse. I have a photograph somewhere from that day or from a time just like that. I see that picture, and where we were all seated on our horses, where we were positioned, and we left and we went back to the ranch, and then they were like castrating the new horses that they had been accused of stealing. So that was when I finally realized what they were doing. I developed a headache that I never had like that before, and it was taken away, which was good. But it was one of those things where I had a regular childhood in which I was not exposed to any terrible things. We didn't have, there was no television, so I didn't have the opportunity to learn from that. But I was pretty upset. And, you look back on it and you say, well, I was only 7, maybe I don't really remember very well, that sort of thing. But when my brother came to live with us here, one time we were, I can't remember how it came up, but he was there at the time on his horse, and he was very unexpressive. I mean, at that time in his life, he just sat there and didn't say or do anything, but he was there. And I remember where he was on his horse, in relation to me. And so we were at the dinner table, and I said, I've been thinking about our time in Alberta, and I wonder if you remember the day that we met the Stoney Indians, and there was this silence. And then he said, we're talking about a person getting close to 80 years old at the time. He said, I do remember it. And it was a validation that this was a really bad thing that had happened. And it stayed with me all my life, wanting to feel it, wanting to make it okay for all the people who were involved in it, wanting to erase from my mind the castration of the horses. I mean, at the time, I knew what it was, but it's like it took me days or weeks or something to really understand it, understand what it was. My parents were very quiet about it too. I mean, I never asked them about it, but they were very quiet during this. And I don't know whose horses were what or whose, but our people that we were staying with took that, basically decided what. And so I always felt that they stole these horses from the Indians, and of course I have no background on it, none whatsoever. But except what they told us, and I didn't know what to believe about that. It was not clear. But so that's something that I have held on to, and for myself, I don't want to let it go. Partly because I can't make it better. I keep wanting to make it better for me, like to understand better or to be able to take away the humiliation or the unfairness or the power play, which was all on the white side, right? You had the white pieces. So I feel that I don't know if I'll always feel this way, but this idea of letting go of everything is not what I want in my life. I don't want to be like that. I want to feel what is equally real. I want to continue to be someone who has respect for herself and for the things that happen and for the way I feel about them. Because I don't feel that I can do anything about anything unless I feel it. I mean, otherwise it's like an abstraction. It is not like an abstraction, it's an abstraction. The reality is what the body and mind together. And because I feel the horse under me, and the air and the smell of the pines that I still remember. When I smell it here, it takes me right back to that place. I can't remember what I was going to say about that. What is real is the body and mind together. Okay, the memory is like the mind, but you feel it in your body because your body doesn't just let go of everything because somebody told you to. It's so full of life. And of course, the things that, I know that people talk about, the suttas and all that sort of thing. And I mean, it can get quite complicated and everything, but to me, that's nothing. It's nothing. And I feel like, well, I can't really be, the person that the Buddhist person I'm supposed to be or whatever. I can't be that because it's about things that aren't real. And so I think of it, when I say it's an abstraction, I mean it's a concept. It's a conceptualizing of when we talk about the suttas. And I mean, some of them are great stories. I guess I don't know, but I don't know the different. I know a little of the Chinese ones, and the Chinese love to tell stories. And they have some, suttas that are kind of fun to read. But I guess I'm willing to live with not being really good at all the things that are taught here, and yet I don't want to leave it. So, I think knowing that my brother felt the same. We always argued about everything political, um, social, everything like that. And he was a conservative, and he liked the idea of being a conservative. For him, that was like, we all know what we're talking about. And of course, I'm the total opposite of that. And but we had that in common. And if I didn't remember it, I wouldn't have had that experience with my brother, who also remembered it. I wouldn't have known that, and it opened my heart to him so much more because we were not close anymore after we were children. Years later, I mean, it's not that long, probably maybe 30, 40 years ago, I saw somebody sent me a postcard and who was traveling, and it was a postcard and a photograph of these two very beautiful looking American Indians. They were just, the sort of Hollywood, except that you could see that they were dressed in clothing that they, had been made for them in the sort of tribal things. It was not a Hollywood thing at all. And it said, on the back of it, it said, Stony Indians, Alberta. And I don't know why I got that postcard. I don't know who it was from. But it was so good to see the other side of these people who were not pursuing people they thought were stealing from them, and that they were always in a sort of subjugated, relationship. They were beautiful. And in spite of my tears, I mean, I am so happy to be able to have these experiences and to know how I feel about people and what I want to, I mean, I haven't been able to do anything about that, but except to speak about it and to acknowledge them as immensely important in my life. Not that the other people weren't, not that they also were, but very important in my life. It was, when you're 7, that's what they say, that's the age, you've reached the age of reason. You're not a little child anymore. It happens when you're about 7, do what it is. And I can say that I agree, I mean, from my own experience. That had I been 6, I would not have seen it in the same way. I might have been frightened because it looked like they were going to have a fight and stuff like that. I didn't have the distance. No, I mean, I've had a lot of experiences in my life, and that's one of the ones. That's the one that I go back to where I can say, something really happened to me then. And it gave me a perspective on what life is that I did not have before. I was just a child, little child, and either got the ice cream cone or didn't, or whatever it was, And I got to name the kitten, things like that. But this was the real world, and I'm grateful. I'm happy for that. I'm happy to have these experiences. I'm happy to have had them. Um, it's my world. I always forget the names of these people. I'm terrible. The wonderful Japanese teacher, Buddhist teacher, who was in Los Angeles for a lot of years, and he died around the year 2000. And he spoke of the self as like a bubble, and all of the experiences that you have and everything are in that bubble with you. But nobody else is in that bubble. You're the one having these experiences. It's your world. And, I read a lot of stuff by wonderful Buddhist teachers, but that really, I really thought about it a lot, and I have used it in a way to say, I'm the one having these experiences, or I had them, I'm the one seeing this tree. It's my tree. I don't own it, but it's my world, and it's as if I had made that tree, but I didn't. Um, there's a wonderful poem by I guess you'd call him a Chan master. Well, he was a poet. I don't know if he was a great master or not, but he wrote about where does it all come from? The mountains and rivers, all the things. Where does it come from? And then he says, listen to my song. Nearby, I hear the sound of water. Far off, I see the shape of a mountain. Birds come, and people come, and the birds are not afraid. One by one, each thing takes shape. I can't really quote it something more. And all things are all made of the same thing. If you say they're all equal and they're all made of the same thing. If you say you don't know, you don't get it. It's just because it's so clear. And then that poem just really, I wish I could remember it word for word better. But I think of that and I look back at all those things, and it's so clear. And that experience was mine, my life. And as it turned out, it was my brother's life too. And so I admit and plead guilty to not wanting to let everything go. Sorry, it will go by itself. And being able to speak about it and to feel it again is a gift for me. And it's time to stop. Thank you so much for listening, for putting up with me. What is the matter with me that